Real quick, everyone, thank you for listening to the podcast. And the only way this podcast grows is through you. So if you got value, it would mean the world to us if you share this with a friend or took a second to leave a review. Not just for me, but because it might give someone else the knowledge or the motivation they need to dial in their fitness journey. We appreciate you and your support. Welcome back to Pack Mentality. And today we're talking about how you're not lazy, you're exhausted, or your system sucks. So we're talking about burnout or follow through, which are your two biggest enemies. And Caitlin is on the podcast today. Thank you so much for joining me. Hello.
Yo. Hi, I can't wait to start talking about this.
I know you. So let's get right into it. So burnout isn't just physical, it's emotion. Well, it's emotional and it's mental depletion as well. So let's chat about that really quick.
Yeah, I think people suffer, and I was kind of talking about this with you one night about how people are either really burnt out of like overtraining or overworking out or just doing things too much too quick, or they have no follow through where they don't follow through with, their training plan or, and we don't only talk about fitness, but with life too. If you set a goal and you never follow through and hit it, well, that probably pours into your fitness life as well. And so, yeah, I think just people suffer from either one.
Yeah, it's usually one of two things. And usually we see, and I myself has battled with both of where you're overdoing it.
Yep.
And then with the lack of follow through is like you spend so much time talking about it, but not doing anything about it.
Yeah. And I think if you, are doing fitness consecutively, like Matt and I have for, 10, 15 years now, really never stopping, you're going to go through multiple phases of burnout. And we never really go through lack of follow through, do we? We follow through with everything.
Do we?
Yeah. I mean, as far as fitness goes.
As far as fitness, yes. But I think it's one of those things where it just becomes habitual. Like you get to the point where you do it, you do follow through so much to the point where you don't even, it's just automatic. You just don't think about it anymore. It's kind of like, yeah, it's like, you don't have to think about driving home a certain route and you're like, how did I get home?
Yeah.
That happens to us all the time. I think that's kind of like, oh, my workout's done.
Yeah. Oh, I'm at the gym. Weird.
I'm at the gym. Oh, well, we work here as well. That's so funny how that works. And yeah, motivation is definitely just a spark. It's follow through is the engine.
Yes.
To that. And a lot of people think that they need to be motivated to get started, whereas really action is what drives motivation in the first place.
Yeah, 100% agree. And we see this a lot with new members and definitely with like long-term members as well. I mean, like I said, the longer you're in this fitness journey, the more likely you are going to go through one or the other.
Exactly. And the reason why we're bringing this up and the whole point of this podcast today is just that we have conversations with people every day, and most people that we do see are in a constant start-stop cycle, and then they blame themselves or they blame their circumstances. So that's really what we'll be talking about today. And some stats that we have for you is that 50% of people abandon goals by the end of January. So
you set it Jan 1 and then you're done by January 31st.
50% of you are like, it's over. 30 days in. We're not even a quarter of the way through the year, and it's been abandoned.
Yeah.
So, and which is very normal. I can see why that works. And usually it's because people set goals that are way too broad and general, and they use bundled terms like I'm going to get fit. Whereas really the best way to approach it is to set a specific action and make that the goal rather than the outcome.
Yes, specific is so important. It gives you something tangible to strive for and to build upon. And I think that's really important when you are trying to gain motivation or gain momentum, I should say. And so you need those stepping stones to lead you to the big goal at the end of the year, what you want to accomplish.
Yeah, 100%. And a good example for me that is not in a fitness context, because this was a habit that I had to build that was not fitness. So this was harder for me. So hopefully this relates to you if you find fitness that's difficult. But making content like this, like doing podcasts, posting, is I just committed for the last, 2.5 years, maybe almost 3 years now, I'm going to post every day.
Yep.
And I'm going to make
100.
My goal is to get to 100 podcasts, but I was like, I have to make a minimum 1 podcast a week.
Yes. Yeah.
At least make one. Do I have to release it? Sometimes I kind of fell off the bandwagon, but I would always make up for it if I did. So now I'm up to producing about 2 to 3 podcasts a week. And so I made that the goal rather than just simply, I'm going to start a podcast.
Yeah, or just saying like, I'm going to do more social media content. Well, what does that mean?
Yeah, and I just accepted the fact that the first year I'm going to be bad at it, and which is okay. And I think that's what stops a lot of people too, is that they're like, well, I don't want to be bad at it, or they let the fear of being bad at something hold them back from ultimately getting what they want.
Yeah, or the fact that they're not getting better very quickly, and then they're like, well, it's not working. Like if you don't see results right away, people pretty much say, well, it's not working. Let me try something else. When the reality is you're not going to see results really in anything, whether it be fitness or, if you're trying to learn a skill for your new job, like you're probably not going to see results or see that you're making progress for 3 to 4 months if you are consistent about it and if you do it daily.
Yeah, 100%. And what you're all going to get out of this episode is specifically how to protect your energy and use it with precision, how to stop relying on quote unquote feeling ready. My favorite one that I hear. Feelings. Yes, we don't make decisions based on feelings.
No.
Clear tools to build momentum even when life is chaotic. And then finally, real examples from fitness, business, and life showing how this works. We've already provided you with some, all right? So let's give them a game plan. Let's get into that right now. So we have 3 things here that we're going to cover over our plan for you, which is hopefully going to help you break through some of these barriers. The first one we're going to talk about is the burnout breaker. Then we're going to go into follow through formula, and then we're going to end with environment engineering, and then we're going to move on to our next section. So let's start with number 1, burnout breaker. So first off, you have to spot the early signs, which is, the basic ones, which is irritability, sleep issues, loss of mental drive,
fatigue. And, I asked Matt this a lot. And I say like, I know you're feeling burnt out. And when you have moments like that, I just say, you need to focus on what you can control. And it's kind of all of those things that are those symptoms, right? Okay, lack of sleep. Well, you can control that. You can go to bed earlier. You can plan your routine a little bit better. No phones after a certain hour. And then, I'm feeling irritable. Well, usually it's because you're not eating enough, and nutrition definitely lacks.
You don't eat enough.
Yeah, I know, all the time.
You're hungry right now.
Yes, I am.
And you were complaining on the way over here that you were. I'm like, you had all this time to plan ahead and eat, and here we are.
Yeah, you're right. And I should have done that, but here we are, and we're just gonna get through it now. But irritability is definitely another one. Sleep, and then what was the last one? Stress. And so just minimizing stress. I think some people talk about, we have deload weeks in fitness. Well, you should have some deload weeks in your life as well. For myself, I get a lot of socialization throughout the week. I really try to kind of take some time off during the weekend if I can, as far as being socially active, because my battery is just very drained. On top of having our 3 kids, like that battery is drained as well, family life. And so you're just trying to like make up for it in those times. And that's where burnout really starts to settle in. And it starts to affect the one thing that maybe you like, which for us is fitness. And when our fitness starts to get attacked, everything I feel like just kind of crumbles. So
right.
Yeah.
And one thing that I found, and I actually did this today, was that you don't really realize how little time you might actually need to actually get almost a full reset. And because a lot of it is just like overstimulation, especially in our day and age. We have social media, we have the kids screaming at us, we have our career, our job, we have so many demands placed on us that sometimes we just need to be. And even in our downtime, we stimulate ourselves with either the TV, even if it's something like a wind down TV, like we'll watch like a cooking show, or even if it's really easy to get stuck scrolling, which still kind of still stimulates the brains in a way that, isn't necessarily bad, but isn't going to help you recover. And so this is something I did today specifically, was I probably took about 2 hours off. I mean, I kind of took a nap, but I wasn't really napping the whole time. But I'm like, I'm not going to look at my phone. I'm not going to do any work. Because I'm not used to just being still and just stopping and doing nothing. It felt super weird, but I feel 10 times better. And that only took 2 hours. I just took 2 hours on a Saturday to be by myself. I just laid in bed in my room, in a dark room, just to deload the stimulation. And then now I feel 10 times better than I did earlier this morning in the afternoon. I mean, I didn't feel bad, but I'm tired from training. I'm backed up on work. We're doing this podcast now, which we were planning for, and then I just needed like 2 hours, and then now I feel 100% more refreshed. And so now, not only that's going to set me up for success, not only for the rest of the night, because now I'm in a much better mood, but that's going to set me up for a very successful Sunday where I know I'm going to train, I'm going to work out, I'm going to train clients, I'm going to be productive, I'm going to make more content. So like my Sundays are pretty busy because as business owners, we don't stop.
Yeah.
And so just taking 2 hours, and you'd be surprised by how much that really helps when you cut out all external stimuli as much as you can.
Yeah, I mean, we suffer from decision fatigue constantly. And so, just taking that kind of little reset time, like Matt said, it's super helpful. And that's definitely a choice, right? We have to make these right decisions for ourselves in order to be more productive. Not only in our family life, but in our fitness life as well. And so making these right decisions only set you up for success the next day. And that's how you build momentum, right? Because you're just making these little changes as needed in order to set up the next day to be even more productive.
Right. And then also triage yourself, like figure out what is the biggest thing that needs to be taken care of right away. So for example, if someone comes into a hospital and they have a paper cut or they have a gunshot wound, which one are you going to treat first?
Yeah.
You're going to treat the gunshot wound. So
For sure.
always go after the thing that's bringing you down the most. So for me, I knew that was just overall just stimulus in general. I'm like, I just have to isolate myself in a dark room and just mentally deload my brain. And I knew that, and I know for a fact that if I go on my laptop, I'm going to start working. If I go on my phone, I'm going to go on TikTok.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm going to leave my phone over there. I'm going to leave my laptop over there so I don't get tempted to work or get distracted. I'm just going to sit there and I can either nap, but my whole role for the next 2 hours is to literally do nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think by knowing what your priorities are really important when you're making these decisions. And so like Matt said, prioritize or, figure out what is the biggest thing stimulating you right now and attack that or plan to attack that for the next day.
Yeah. And audit yourself. Be like, is it nutrition? Is it sleep? Is it stress? Is it load management? And that's why it's really helpful to have some sort of a fitness tracker. That's why Caitlin and I do like to use the Garmin's. FYI, this is not a plug because we are not sponsored or we do not get paid by them.
I would love to be. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. So if you know anyone at Garmin, just hook us up.
Yeah, we do use fitness trackers. Do we listen to them all the time? No. But on days where we're really feeling beat down and my watch currently says I need, 73 hours of recovery. And I feel that way. And so I was originally going to work out today. My priorities are to get my training done during the week, and then I want to spend time with my family on the weekends. But today I coached a lot in the morning. I felt really beat up, went in the sauna. I feel like that was enough. So instead of working out, I just kind of did some foam rolling and stretching and then did some work. And I feel really productive and set up actually for tomorrow to work out and get all of my work done and spend time with my family. So I feel 10 times better. But again, it just required me to kind of zoom out. What are my priorities? How am I going to feel better for the week upcoming? Because I just programmed an awesome looking week and I'm really excited to work out.
Yeah, it does look good.
And yeah, so I took today to instead set myself up for success for next week. And that's how I kind of avoid burnout, because I really look kind of like a week ahead. And I look at my work schedule and I plan literally every minute of the day of when I'm going to work out, when am I going to eat, when am I going to sleep. And that's how I sustain such a high amount of training as well as a high amount of work during the week as well.
Yeah, you have to be a planner. And I like what you talked about, planning and setting yourself up for success, because I think a lot of times that I feel like I need to constantly be producing or being productive, when sometimes just taking the time to sit down and to plan is being productive as
100%.
well. Like, I mean, I may not be getting specific work done that I want to, but I'm setting myself up to where this will get done because I'm making time for it later on and making sure that nothing falls through the cracks.
Yeah, and honestly, it relieves a lot of stress for me. I am a planner. It relieves a lot of stress when I know exactly when I'm going to get tasks done. And, I have a huge laundry list of things to do, and every day I try to do 3 to 5 of the things on the list. And I prioritize them of which one is the most important, which one needs to get done now. And then, I just work off of the list that way. And that has really helped me be more successful with taking on more training, but also taking on more clients, more work. And then, of course, our kids are more involved now in sports. So we're trying to time manage all of that. And, it's a lot and it's overwhelming. And so that's why I strongly believe in following a system, having a game plan, and then, attacking it week by week.
Yeah, 100%. Let's get into the follow through formula, because, excuse me, I know a lot of people struggle with this as well, where they are over planners now. It's like they're over planning, they're overthinking it, they're making it way more complicated than it has to be. And they're also kind of relying on motivation, because they're just kind of like, oh, I'll just do it later.
And then they never make choices. Is that where we're going?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we're talking like ditch motivation and have some sort of an anchor, you know? So like,
Well, that's where like just testing comes involved. And I'm sorry, I'm going to draw it back to fitness, but the reason why we have testing weeks and then, and then intensity weeks and then a deload, the reason why we follow this plan or program is because it allows you to kind of like check in and see where you're at, right? And you follow the whole plan, and then at the end, were you successful, yes or no? And then you get to make a whole new plan again. And you just keep following the system, and it works, right? Because you get instant feedback of yes or no. Did I get better or did I not? Did I hit my goal? Did I not? And then you can make adjustments as you go.
Yeah.
But the problem is people don't like to follow the game plan because it gets boring, or because, life comes into play, or there's just, all the every excuse you can think of comes up, and then you never hit the end. And then you wonder why you never see progress. It's so simple. It's like, well, did you do it? Yes or no? Okay, well, then that's why you got the result.
Yeah.
It's very sciencey.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day is that we all think that we're smarter than we really are. And it's always better to respect the process and then just keep following through with it. And also, if you're one of those people that you don't have a problem following the system, but you have a problem actually executing on that said system, one of my favorite things that I learned from Brian Tracy, who's like a self-help person, very old school guy, was like, he just said, every morning when you wake up, just tell yourself and repeat it, do it now, do it now, do it now. Like, no, seriously, it helps beat procrastination. It helps. It really does help, because it helps me beat procrastination, because when I say do it now, it really does get done.
Yeah,
because
you execute right then.
Because when you have that self-talk of like, I'm the kind of person, or just reinforces like, I'm the kind of person who does things now. And so if I do it now, I won't have to do it later. And like, just do it. Just get it over with.
Yeah.
Nike, just do it.
Yeah. I like to set a timer sometimes. And then I look at how long it took me to do that task that I've been putting off or whatnot. And it was like 5 minutes. And I'm like, God damn it. Like, it only took 5 minutes and I have been putting this off forever. And hopefully next time this exact same instant comes up, I can remind myself and say, it only takes 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then do it.
I think there's actually a whole book written on that called like the 5-minute rule or something.
Yeah.
It's like, if the task takes less than 5 minutes, 5 minutes or less, then to just do it.
Well, like Jason Khalipa's book, AMRAP Mentality.
Yeah.
Right? AMRAP means as many reps as possible. So you just tell yourself, okay, for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to do as many emails as possible. And then boom, you just like bust it out. And then boom, it gets done right then and there.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of things don't take nearly as long as people think they do.
No.
I mean, including your training. Like, I mean, I looked at a workout earlier this week. It was a bunch of aerobic intervals. And I'm like, oh man, this is going to take me like an hour, including the rest. And then it took me like 38 minutes. And I was like, okay, that wasn't that bad. And that's 38 minutes including my warm up for it. And so I'm like, okay, well, I can do anything for like 30 to 40 minutes, especially if there's rest built in with it.
Exactly. It's just about taking action. I see a lot of people at the gym not take advantage of the opportunity that you have. The moment you step in the gym, I mean, you guys should just automatically be in workout mode. Like, this is your time to work out. Like, the moment you get there, I mean, for Matt and I, the moment we get there, it's either work or working out. So, we're not just there to mingle and socialize all the time, but like, you should have some type of goal or execution. Like, when I get there, I'm going to stretch. When I get there, I'm going to bike.
And just start.
And just start. And just do it right then. You would be surprised at how much better you would get by simply just starting right when you get to the gym. And put on that workout mode, and it's on. Save the socializing till after the workout.
Yeah, and another thing is not to overwhelm yourself with your to-do list of things that you do want to do when you get to the gym. So I used to do that, especially with my stretching. And then recently I kind of pulled back on it. I'm like, I'm just going to, my main priority is that regardless of how much stretching I do, I have to get the couch stretch done. So I have to make sure that I stretch out my hip flexors and my quad, because those are the tightest areas of my body right now, which will make my squats and my knees feel better. And lo and behold, I focus on that only for the last 2 weeks, and my knees feel better, my squats are getting better. My knee swelling that I've had for the last 2 years have gone down, and it's really dumb that I haven't been doing it earlier, but it's nice, but it's better late than never, right?
Yeah. And so this is the other part of the follow through problem, is that people ping pong too much and do too much, like Matt's talking about. Simplify everything down to like 2 to 3 things, and just do a lot of reps of those 2 to 3 things. And again, it's a testing thing. So Matt's done it for 2 weeks. he's noticed improvement. Okay, great. He doesn't need to add on, any other stretches because he's already getting results by just doing 1 to 2 different stretches a day versus doing like 10 stretches a day and being like, nothing works.
Exactly.
You don't even know what is or is not working because you're doing too much.
Yeah.
Right. So my client right now, Eunice, we've done 2 in-body scans, and her first one was great. Her second one was a little plateaued. So I gave her one task to focus on for these next, 3 weeks or so until we in-body scan again. And it was just to track only protein. That's it. Because she already told me that like nutrition is already overwhelming. And I think a lot of people feel that way, and they take on way too much at the start and try to implement way too much. Whereas you should just focus on one thing, do it for 3 weeks, see what the progress is, and then make the next adjustment from there. The next adjustment for her might be to just track calories. So protein and calories. But it's just stepping stones, one thing at a time, making little tweaks and seeing the results after a good amount of time of consistently doing that task.
Yeah, I think a lot of under execution or lack of follow through comes from people wanting to be perfect right off the bat.
Yeah.
They want to do 10 things perfectly right off the bat, which gets overwhelming. And then, but when you systemize it and you just stack one win on top of the other, especially when you master one thing to the point where you don't even need to think about it.
Yes.
It's just there. It's just something you do now. Then it's so much easier to just stack on top of it. And I think and then on top of that, that's probably what leads to burnout.
Yeah. And then, when people start to think that like, oh, I'm already good at that, you've never mastered anything. Okay. It's always good to revisit back to the basics. And again, like that's just all a part of the plan. Never ever think that you have completely mastered something. Always check in with yourself, and in order to avoid the burnout, right? As soon as you start feeling those symptoms we talked about, stress, sleep, mood, irritability, whatever, like do a recheck-in, reassessment. I just opened my Fitness Pal for like the first time in like a year because I eat the same thing all the time. I just wanted to check in and see, am I still hitting my numbers? Like, because, maybe my progress in the gym isn't exactly where I want it to be. So I just kind of like did a check-in, and I was a little bit off in my calories. So I was like, okay, well, that makes sense then. But that's how I kind of avoid dipping down into any loss of momentum or burnout or decision fatigue, all that stuff.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. And it's really nice to have those check-ins. And it's really important to remember that in order to balance this out, because, we're talking a lot about under execution essentially and burnout. So doing too much or too little or not making decisions. So a really easy way to combat this and to make sure that you are kind of in that narrow space of walking that line of where you're pushing yourself not to the point of burnout, but you're also not underdoing it, is that's why, we have coaches.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Always have a coach. Follow a plan and a system. It's so important, because if you're like us and you're a type A kind of person, or you want to be maybe a little bit more type A, you have to have a system in place where you can do check-ins and get execution done. I always see people just constantly just kind of like treading water, never making progress. If only they could just like follow the plan and actually do it and take action, they would see so much progress faster.
Yeah, 100%. Let's move into our last point here, which is environment engineering. And this is probably one of my favorite things, which is, you have to eliminate triggers that drain you. So like, that's why today I eliminated the scrolling. I made it out of sight, out of mind from my laptop. Clutter, decision chaos, simplifying it. And then, using what I like to call force functions, which is like, train with a partner, use a meal prep service, service. When you have a forcing function, or like, I'm going to train with this person, like an external thing, or it's like when you order meal prep, it's like, well, I have that, I'm going to eat it. Setting up yourself for as much success as possible, and then design your space for energy. So, light, music, movement cues, whatever. So your environment really does matter, and including who you surround yourself with as well.
Yeah, I think one example, and you kind of touched on this before, at night, when we're like trying to de-stress before bed, I know a lot of people get stuck watching shows, and usually very exciting shows or exciting movies. And you actually are stressing yourself out a little bit, and you're not going to be able to fall asleep.
You're stimulating yourself again.
Exactly.
That's why people have
again, another one of my clients, came to me to work out, and they said, I only had 3 hours of sleep last night because I got stuck watching a show. And I'm like, why'd you do that? Like, just go to bed. And they're like, well, it was, and really, I wanted to know what happened. I'm like, and so you made a choice to watch this show instead of just getting some rest. And we all know that you lose weight if you sleep more, and you're just counteracting your goals at that point. So Matt and I watch very like low stressful things like cooking shows, things on YouTube that are very like monotone, and just really trying to like pull down our overstimulation from the day. Again, we're very social people. And we have our kids. And so that last hour of the day, we try to just kind of really decompress in order to fall asleep, because we get home very late, probably 8 o'clock at night, and we eat dinner 8:30, and we're trying to go to bed 9:30, 10 at the latest. And that's not a very big wind down window. And so that's why we try to like eliminate all those factors at that time.
Yeah, I think it's also, I like what you said about that, about the stress and the overstimulation, because when we used to watch those longer shows with, that was like one of those things where it's like, oh, I have to watch the next one.
Yeah, and not to say that we still don't, because the other night Matt put on Mission Impossible, and I got hooked into Mission Impossible because it's exciting, and I like that movie. And
Dead Reckoning.
And I had to turn it off. I had to make the decision to turn it off, because I was like, if I keep going,
This is like the whole movie.
It's a 3-hour movie. I'm gonna go to bed late.
Yeah, exactly.
So not to say that we're not perfect. We definitely still kind of fall into those traps. But as much as possible, we try to stick to a routine that we can control.
Yeah, and we try and choose things, or like TV shows or things that we watch that are a little bit shorter and that will have a definitive end.
Yeah.
To where it's like once it's over, it's like really easy to turn off. To where I'm not like tempted to go watch the next episode.
Yeah, and again, this is just an example that I'm sure everybody deals with at the end of the day, because I'm sure you all go home to watch TV at some point, and that is some crucial time where you can be decompressing or planning for the next day, stretching, doing some recovery type of things, in order to better yourself for the week.
Yeah, exactly. And so just a recap of like the 3-part fix here is, first off, the burnout breakers. You just have to spot early signs of irritability, sleep issues, and loss of drive. And triage yourself. Be like, what is the thing that I can change or deload that will make the biggest impact moving forward? And then follow through formula is not to rely on motivation. Obviously, we know motivation is just a feeling that comes and goes. And then we really like to focus on setting either visual reminders or just setting us up for success in other ways as well, by like doing meal prep or whatever. And then environmental engineering, like who you surround yourself with. Also make decisions on like what we just talked about with like the shows, and having a specific time to wind down, and just setting up your environment for success, including who you surround yourself with.
Yep, that was a great summary.
100%. So what this is going to solve is that you're not going to restart every Monday. I know so many people who are like, it hits Thursday and then they're like, well, I'll just restart on Monday, or I'll start my diet on Monday,
or next month,
or next month, or whatever. But usually it's Monday.
Yeah.
And then you'll actually finish programs, you'll build your body, and actually enjoy the process in the meantime. Because I think a lot of people get caught up in wanting everything now, so they don't stick with the process because they want to do all the sexy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you can't build motivation, but you can build momentum. And so you have to remember that this following the plan, following the progress is only going to build you momentum. And once you see progress, that is the fuel to the fire, everybody. Once you start seeing progress in various parts of your life, that is motivating in itself. I don't need anything else. Right? Building momentum is all I need.
Exactly.
And that's what just keeps me going.
Yeah. And then once you have these systems in place, your schedule, your energy, your mindset, everything will be aligned and you'll have clarity.
Yep. You pretty much channeled everything in.
Yeah, 100%. And the problem that this is really going to solve here is that, if you're tired of not making progress and then you end up crashing, is that, obviously if you have a system in place, you'll be able to audit what went wrong and when. That's why we have that's why we have systems in place, right? For everything, including our training. And then when you actually follow through the plan, then we've all been there where we don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So it's always better to do something and actually trust the person who's been there before and has the experience, because when you go off and do your own thing, it's just, what you think you need to do usually isn't the answer.
No, yeah, you choose the things that are fun and the things that you like, not the things you need to work on.
Yeah,
or
very
hard
rarely.
things.
I can't remember the last time I programmed for myself and I was like, I'm going to do all the stuff I suck at.
Yeah, oh my God. Yeah, if we did that, I mean, you would for sure never make progress in anything that's important.
Yeah, and I challenge you today, especially in a fitness context, that if you see a workout moving forward and you really don't want to do it, you should do it.
Yeah, you should definitely go to that one.
And plan your rest days around the workouts that you actually do want to do every once in a while.
I really don't like the idea of planning rest days personally. I like the idea that rest days should choose you, whether that be like your body needs it or, just you physically could not make it into the gym that day. I'd rather it come down to that because in reality, we all need to work out just a little bit more. So I'd like it to just be like, well, I physically cannot make it to the gym that day. So that's going to be my rest day.
Yep, 100%. And if you're tired of having low energy, if you're tired of missing workouts, and if you're tired of going into that shame loop that keeps coming and going, and if you're tired that you don't have the discipline that some other people have, then it's definitely time to get a one-on-one coach.
Oh, 100%. And really self-reflect, everybody. It's definitely a mindset thing, and you can train yourself to be like, whoever you idolize, whoever you want to be like, more like, whether that be like a friend or family member or just somebody at the gym. It's mindset. And you can really learn a lot by just talking to a coach or talking to more people who maybe you want to learn off of and just trying to actually implement the things that they do.
Okay. I love that. Fantastic. I'm just going to give all of you a big recap on this, just to summarize pretty much a 30-second version of the entire podcast all in one. And I'm going to end with a close to action right here. So first off, the facts is that burnout will destroy consistency and a lack of systems kills results. Remember that. And then remember, don't rely on feelings because, guilt, shame, and frustration, why can't I just stick to it? Focus more on systems and fixes, which is build smarter recovery, automate your routine, plan ahead, and create systems that carry you when motivation disappears. That's extremely important because so many people to this day still rely so heavily on motivation.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for the motivation to kick in.
Join the club. I actually can't remember the last time I was motivated. I just do things now. Yeah. Regardless of how I feel.
It has to be done.
Yeah.
There's things that I want to do, and then there's things that has to be done.
Yeah, exactly. Hook your future self up with success by doing that. So here's my close to action for you. I want you to choose one fix to implement in the next 24 hours. Choose one of those things that we went over. Go back and let's do it if you need to. And then ask yourself, what's one routine that you can absolutely automate today so you don't rely on willpower tomorrow? And burnout and inconsistency don't make you broken. That just means that you're human and you just need better systems at the end of the day. So any closing thoughts from you, Caitlin, before we wrap things up?
That was a great summary. I just think people need a better routine and a better system, and you will feel better overall.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for listening. If this was helpful, do us a favor and leave us a honest review so that way we know to make more content just like this. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Red Wolf CrossFit and DM your content suggestions there. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, good luck. Have fun.
Nailed it.